Okay, I'm gonna call the May 20th, 2026 select board meeting to order. Do we have any adjustments to the agenda tonight? So we heard none. We will take a motion to approve the minutes of May 6th, 2026.
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Do you have any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none then? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? So carried.
I do have an adjustment to the agenda. I want to discuss
Oh.
Bit in my report.
Okay, never mind, I don't.
Okay.
The room that.
Yeah.
Good, too late anyway.
I'll wait.
All right, comments from the community. You're on the agenda, so. No, I don't see anyone here. Anyone online tonight?
Nope, not yet.
Okay. All right, then we will do correspondence. I will pass around April's sheriff report, monthly report. It's quite interesting. Usually isn't, but.
Oh, you can ignore that, sorry.
Got it. And that's it. Okay, you have tonight here with us Michelle Haggett and Cody Haskins, and they're gonna talk to us about the possibility of selling baked goods around the trailhead. You have the floor.
You go.
So we would like to bake and sell it at a little stand on the rail trail. And we could sell like cookies, whoopie pies, brownies, like anything.
Anything quick and easy.
And we could also do sell waters as well.
Mhm.
So that's what we would like to do.
So it wouldn't be on the rail trail, it'd be on the town property.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I've been working with Michelle, or talking to her quite a bit, trying to work this out if the select board approves. I'll give you some background that the Wolcott Community Trust had been discussing for quite a while, doing a pop-up in that same area. Their goal was not to make money. Their goal was to just try to get people used to coming for food, once we get the cafe up there. We've been talking back and forth and with other people about the health permits that would be required, but also I guess this is a good time, the possibility of maybe having a very small shed by the gazebo where Michelle could sell her goods from. I don't know what your thoughts are. I know we've had someone here before that sold baked goods a while back. The only thing we asked for was a certificate of insurance. I don't know how long that lasted. Did you ever buy anything there? Were they there long? No.
2-3 weeks.
Oh,
We didn't have any drinks. We had just cookies and cakes.
so it seemed like that's one of the things trail users want is water and
creamies.
oh,
Ice cream, there's no cereal. Yeah, well, I mean, it's hot.
well, one of the things we thought of was getting a little freezer to put in the shed and buying pre-made ones. We couldn't, Cody, could you let Gordon perhaps?
Yes.
Pre-made, creamies are a bit much. You need to buy a machine and you have to clean it all out and Anyway.
Dying rice would work.
Mhm.
Just all you have to do is buy the ice creams, crush them in there, sort of on.
Yeah, I already have like a nice crusher.
Mhm.
Nice.
So the first step would be for Michelle to get permission from the select board to sell that there. So that's why she's here today.
I'd make a motion to approve that.
Yeah.
The same contingency before with the insurance. And whatever other health permits, it sounds like you guys are already.
Yeah, we've both filed for exemption for both of our kitchens already. We're just waiting on the water testing.
Awesome.
I'll second. What Mike's?
Do you have any other questions for Michelle or Cody? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
I do know we're working with service is that you have to charge on certain items, you have to charge the minimum tax, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm used to it. I own a farm,
Okay.
so I sell all my stuff at farmers market, so I already have the insurance and everything will be underneath that. So I'm used to charging tax and
The room tax or whatever.
Yeah.
just on certain items.
Rooms and meals.
So don't buy a donut you drink,
Just buy a donut.
just a donut. Well, you see, one of our governors decided donut and coffee was a breakfast, so we got 14%.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, so neat. So if you bought the dozen and it's in the coffee, it wasn't neat.
Okay, so whenever you get your permits, just make sure Michelle has that, and I will continue to work on. Have some ideas for the shed. I'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are we all set?
Yeah.
Good deal. Thank you.
So we have Gordon here tonight. Is Luke coming?
Excuse me, he's coming, I think it was, drove down to the town office and he's on his way back.
Okay. Do you want to start on your part?
Yeah, I think there's three things and
Yeah.
hopefully mine are pretty, the first two are pretty easy, this will probably take a little more explanation.
Mhm.
So let's talk about membership on the forest committee. Mike Green has been absent from the meetings. I haven't spoken to him myself, but Kate Garvey had spoken to him and he's indicated his he's busy with other things and I'm happy to relinquish his seat. And Trevor Tuckray has been coming to the meetings. He's really interested in participating and so we'd like to install Trevor on that seat.
Mhm. Well, it's good when you have members that are participate.
Yeah. Trevor's interested. He lives essentially across the street.
Mhm.
So we'd like to have him. He'd like to be there. And I don't know that we've ever really established it like a formal process, but my understanding is that the forest committee serves as a pleasure of the select board. So I think the process is we talk to you and y'all make the decision. We run with it.
Right, I think we originally appointed the original committee after the stewardship plan was completed. Right. So I'll make a motion that Trevor Putnam can fill the vacancy of Mike Green's.
Was that good?
More questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
That's it. The second item is a small change in the stewardship plan. So a bit of history and context around this. the, as we were working on the original draft of the plan, we're advised by the folks from Trust for Public Land that there were a number of key factors that we should make decisions about that were, points of flexibility under the easements, and the, the conservation easements, the interests of the conservation easement holders. And so there's things like, horseback riding, for instance, horses are more impactful. And, have maintenance issues associated with them, other things. So it was a decision for us to make to. What did we think? How did we, what kind of parameters do we want to put around some of the stuff? One of the questions at the time, and this was like 3 or 4 years ago, one of the questions at the time was around e-bikes. And things have evolved since 3 or 4 years ago. At this point, electric powered bicycles have become more prevalent, they've become cheaper and more available, and also a lot more diverse in terms of what kind of things people can ride. So you can get basically an electric powered motorcycle, electric powered dirt bike that is pretty impressive as a community, and it's fun for moto riders. Or you see a lot of e-bikes on the rail trail of varying descriptions, varying descriptions. So there's a classification system, and specifically for electric bicycles, essentially 3 classifications. Class 1 and Class 2, the limitations on them are that the electric power cuts out at 20 miles an hour. So you have to pedal it. And for Class 1, you only get electric power when you're pedaling. The electric power cuts out at 20 miles an hour. So if you're pedaling fast downhill, or whatever it is, there's enough limit on how much pedal power you get. Class 2 differs from Class 1, and so requires pedaling, but it also has a we call it an accelerator,
Throttle.
a throttle. So Class 2 e-bike, you can use your fingertip control to add more power to it. But again, it cuts out at 20 miles an hour. So a fair number of people, these bikes like this make biking more accessible for people that just wouldn't be doing it otherwise, or extended range of people who might be doing it otherwise, but want to do more of it. And in discussion in the forest committee, what we've observed is there's a fair number of bikers who have transitioned to electric bikes, but are really riding them as bicycles. So we changed our position on this particular point of whether e-bikes should be allowed at all on the trails. Originally we said, it's making the distinction between them was difficult, and so let's just make a blanket rule. At this point, yeah, the distinction is still difficult, but because there's more of them, what they're doing in a lot of cases is making the older people, or making the whole thing more accessible to people. There's a lot of older people that ride them, and so we feel like it would be better to permit Class 1 and Class 2 bikes on the town forest. So that's a change in the stewardship plan. We consulted the terminology easement. Jack Travelstead was present for the meeting as we were discussing it, and was able to speak on behalf of the easement holders and acknowledge that this change is absolutely consistent with the terms of the easement. And moreover, the terms of the easement require us to have a stewardship plan, but this is something that is at the discretion of the town as the the people making the plan. So our recommendation is we'd like to make this modification in the stewardship plan And again, you know, select board, you guys are the final authority, so, I'm here to propose to you that we make the change.
Okay, questions of Gordon? You did a good job
Yeah.
explaining it.
I don't have any questions. So.
Was e-bikes ever allowed?
No, they haven't been, again, because, when we were drafting the plan originally, we thought, let's make a blanket rule, it's easier to enforce, it's easier, we don't have to explain distinctions to people. It's just, you know, simple yes, no. At this point, we feel that, the distinctions are clear, the, you know, classification system is commonly accepted, you can, you know, type it into a search engine and get the results. And there's enough demand for it. That, you know, I know riders, you know, in their 70s that will take bikes out on the trails, and I don't want to make rule breakers out of them. Nor do I want to get in the way of them riding.
So basically, a class 3 would be a moped or a motorcycle.
Essentially, yeah, it's can get power at faster than 20 miles an hour and has a throttle that functions more, so it doesn't necessarily require power.
Gordon, I'm over, I'm sorry. I'm just speaking in terms of sort of the safety issues, because we still don't have a vehicle to get up into some terrain, but. Does the speed make the situation a little more dangerous? Is the risk of danger or safety concerns, does that increase?
I would say not. I think the places where somebody's likely to get in trouble for riding are gonna be on the downhills where the electric bike is not a factor. They're gonna be, you know, under the influence of gravity, if you will. And, you know, dealing with issues with cornering or something like that. The other thing I'll say is that in terms of accessibility, so I compare these trails to the trails that I ride a lot in Katie's Falls in Morrisville, Katie's Falls area. Our trails are tame and our landscape is tame relative to the terrain down there.
Yeah, I agree with Gordon on that too.
Are you going to set the speed limit?
I don't see a need to set a speed limit. I think the terrain does limit the you know.
See the wording.
Sure.
And you know, it's an interesting question. There's one place, you know, one trail where frankly, the trail is designed to go fast. And so people going in it's bi-directional, but the train is steep. Personally, my philosophy is the less rules you make, the better. Make only the rules that you need to. You know, I would wait and see if there's a necessity to make a speed limit.
Oh,
Who would enforce it?
Yeah,
my problem I've seen on the rail trail is there's no warning and someone's coming right behind you so fast. You don't know they're there, there's no warning.
mhm.
You step the wrong way, you're gonna get hit.
Oof.
Are we gonna have to have a warning device, like a horn or a bell?
Kurt, that's an issue on the downhill as it is, like without e-bikes being any kind of factor at all. Somebody could come up behind you, but there is general etiquette and practice that I think
But there's
bike,
people not doing that.
What
I
can
haven't
we do
heard of
about
that. Have you heard of that happening?
I mean,
In the
you know,
forest?
I think there's different things on the rail trail. The rail trail is gonna see a whole different kind of.
Yeah.
Of
Because we're talking about the forest, not the rail trail.
Right, but still. You got a straightaway and you're wandering down it, someone's doing 20 miles an hour. You're unaware of them.
I think.
Yeah, I really don't see that being something that's gonna come up in the forest. I've ridden the bike trails.
Well, then who's gonna be held liable? The town or the biker?
Well, it'd be the same as anywhere, right? You know, if you're reckless on your bicycle, I think you're open to civil, you know, action. I mean, that's true on a ski slope, that's true on a bike trail.
Because I know in the state of Vermont, pedestrians have right of way.
Yeah, and that's in the policy. Uh, you know, that bicycles must yield to other trail users. That's already there, so.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no, these are good concerns, but I think what Gordon's saying, I don't think a rule is necessary. I think it's pretty well managed amongst the users in general etiquette that's practiced. I don't know if Gordon, you have any.
No, I agree with you.
Yep.
I think that, I think one of the things about biking at this point is, first of all, it does attract a lot of people. Is there always gonna be somebody? Yeah, and for those somebody's, a speed limit isn't gonna make a difference, right? That said, I do think, the rail trail is going to see a lot more mixed use. Is my expectation, and then we've had these trails in the town forest for a year. So we'll see what happens as more time unfolds. But my experience with mountain bikers is they tend to, it's the level of awareness that you want to have when you're riding fast on a mountain bike. You're taking chances with a pedestrian, with a moving object. There's enough chances with the fixed objects. So the incentives, never mind the people that are doing it and whether they're polite or not, but the incentives to take care are there for mountain biking. Maybe in a way that they're not for trail biking or biking on the rail trail. And the flip side, the other piece of it is that, I can speak for the mountain biking community that I'm aware of, tend to be social, personable people that are more interested in having a conversation with somebody than causing than being rude to them. Again, I can't speak for everybody in the community. There's always going to be some, but that's generally been my experience.
You find the people that take a lot of unnecessary risk on mountain bike trails don't end up being on the mountain bike trails very long. So.
Person who owns an e-bike is gonna know what class they're in, there's no reason to put a table of what the difference is.
Not really. It could be included on the map, but again, I don't know person who owns an e-bike, if they're coming to ride on the trails, they don't know what they're doing. Yeah. Okay.
This is pretty standard across public lands.
Yeah.
Class 1 and 2 are generally accepted, definitely not class 3.
Is there any signage in the town forests with the rules yet, or any plan for it?
There's plans for it.
Okay.
Signs aren't up yet. Kate Warner has made has made a trail map for us. We discussed this at the last meeting also.
Yep.
So it's a trail map. We're asking for some revisions on the map that she produced, so it highlights the trails more so. Because a map of the whole forest makes the trails look pretty small and difficult to read. And what she's proposed does have the rules on it. So this is a good modification.
Right.
I can tell you, Gordon, we get requests almost daily for our maps, and I just have like the ones that are really dark. But yeah, so the maps will be welcome. Also that in one of the arts collaboratives, a lot of people were talking about trails and how wonderful they are, and people are coming from a lot of, far away to hit them.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and they're awesome.
I'll make the motion, we accept your the language change.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay.
And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, and so then it comes to the third topic. We're just in time, so we talked, I forget the date, when we talked about this before, but I brought this to you guys because in applying for the grants, the grantors had, would want to know that if we submit a grant application and it goes through, we actually really want to do the thing. And we'll go ahead with it. And so now we're at the place where it looks like where the grant application process has gone through many stages. Luke has put a huge amount of work into it. Looks like we're pretty close to being successful in the grant application. What we're trying to do is clean up places from a previous logging operation on Bourne parcel where the roads essentially just weren't properly closed out. There's a pretty significant number of erosion concerns. From Luke can speak to this much better than I can. I know when I walk around in the woods, you see a lot of things. These are not the most terrible things that I've seen, but they're not great, and it's public. It's it's our land. It's a public land. We'd like to open it up and make it more available for recreation, more accessible to people. And if we do that, it'd be good if it's maintained and top quality standards. And this cleans up a lot of stuff that needs cleaning up.
Yeah, thanks, Gordon. Good review. Yeah, so this morning I sent out 3 documents. There's 2 maps. One is a close-up of the forest trails that we plan to reclamate through the Memorial Conservation District funding. The other one is a larger view of the entire forest holding and different possible conservation practices that can be implemented. And then there's a narrative of the work to be done through the conservation district. We have 2 funding sources. One is NIFWIF, that's the National Fish and Wildlife Association. I'm still in the grinder for that. There's people talk to all over the Lanes and Ranker project and why we should and why we would do more practices. They would be interested in helping, so on and so forth. That's still up in the air. The one that we have good solid traction on is the one through the Memorial Conservation District. This one has to do with phosphorus reduction. We have approximately 1 mile of forest road, which has significant aggregated flows. So that means water is running down into these roadways and there's continuous discharge into the Memorial River. And therefore that correlates to phosphorus. The whole state of Vermont has a pool of money that can be used for reducing phosphorus load into public waterways. And there's a ranking process to show why you should be eligible for this. We've gone through that process. I gathered pre-impact letters from Fish and Wildlife. I did some wetland work. I've engaged the services of some of our state foresters. Emily Potter was sort of involved. She's our county forester with resource. More specifically would be our state's watershed foresters. That's there's 3 of them: David Wilcox, Rick Fryer, and Silas Rainville. Silas Rainville did the original inventory of the roads that we had concerns about. And there's different classes of erosion. Some involve downgrading, crossing slopes greater than 35%. So that's where you have a more appropriate term would be a dugway. So where you can stand in it and you turn parallel to the slope and you're basically looking at the bank. So they're just entrenched. You really can't reclaim them. Those roads get closed. And you'll see there's a funding table. I believe I sent one this morning with kind of a narrative description of what each segment would entail. So that would include just closing and period. Most of the sections are grading and shaping, so that just like a town road, you want to keep the water off. You want to keep the water off the surface, so that would be an outslope, that could be a crowning. Whatever kind of geotechnical parameters you use, they have to be in line with what we call the AMPs, the acceptable management practices for maintaining water quality. Actually, by law, we are required to follow that on the town forest because we still have a current use being on Brooklyn page. So this funding source is going to allow us to get all those roads up to status, and eliminate any discharge concerns. The way the rollout will work is that if we actually get approved for funding, we'll have a pre-construction meeting. Show our contractor those sections of the road, and we'll lay out the AMPs, water bars, out slopes, sediment pools, whatever it may be, and the work gets done. It's my understanding that the Lamoille Conservation District is going to hold the funds. So they basically hold the purse strings, and as the work gets done, they pay the contractor directly. The forestry committee has discussed the contractors, and that's really something that you folks should be directly involved with. You can put it out, we can put it out to bid, develop the prospectus. I've found it easier working with towns. If the town select board just bring us 3 contractors, say there's 3 people who can do the work. I have some general parameters of what I would like. Foresters, in general, for this situation, we want a machine between 18 and 24,000 pounds, steel tracks and a thumb. Personally, it seems like it would be good if it was somebody from Wolcott. It's town forest, town pride. Usually if for these kind of jobs, no environmental issues within the past 3 years. That's talked to Rick Dyer about that yesterday. That's pretty much it. So if we were presented with 3 contractors, we could then go to those contractors and say, hey, can you give a bid to this work? And then once it's done.
So we have a procurement policy. My first question is, where is the funding coming? Where is the money actually coming from? It's being funneled into the conservation district, but is it state money, federal money? Because it depends on how you have to follow the rules. Because we just got dinged, so we know.
Yeah,
We had to actually change it.
well, I believe it's federal money.
Federal money.
But I'll get that clarification.
And
So,
and how much of a grant is it?
well, this is a $30,000 grant.
Okay.
So I believe there's a spreadsheet that you folks got. I sent one this morning. Okay. That is a yeah, so it's roughly $30,000. It may not come in at that, but that's what we're asking.
Have it up here.
If we don't spend it all, great, and it goes back into the pool, it can be used for another. So that's what we're asking.
It's on the back of this. Did you guys get this?
Oh, on the back.
Yeah, so there is another map that I should have attached. It has the different sections, so if you see in that table, you see 1 to, like
This
20 or something. There's actually another map. And it has that 1 mile stretch broken down into segments. In each segment has a phosphorus rating. I don't quite understand how they come up with the value of each segment. That's another Silas Rainville's technique, but specialty. But I have correlated that into the cost. Cost per specific severity of erosion, and that cost is done off comparables. Yeah.
Does, the conservation district have a list of qualified contractors? At all?
No.
They don't get involved in
No.
that, okay? Um. So, all major purchases, and that's a purchase to, even though it's a contract, it's a purchase. With a value of, 10,000 plus must follow a sealed bid process as outlined within this policy. So it needs to go out to bid. We use the, state bidding system. That seems to be, that way you can really reach out, far and wide. It's
Okay.
much better bet than putting it in the New England Citizen.
Okay.
And that's more likely because we are required to hit, all. What's the term? To be equitable, we have to try to hit. Like women businesses and.
Women businesses.
No problem.
But I've been successful putting it in the newspaper as well, so if you want to see if the local. Are you bidding on, are your criteria based on price primarily?
Well, it would be, their ability to do it, within the year, so within the dry season. We want somebody experienced, so they have to at least give us a comp of working with, native soils. In the forest, it'd be nice. So yeah, we have some different parameters. And then, of course, costs, we want it to be reasonable. But my experience has always been that the select board gets bids. And sometimes they decide to go with a higher bidder if the person has more experience.
Well, I've done a lot, worked with the Lamoille County Planning Commission and, been on their committee when they get bids in for contractors. They do not use the lowest bid. They have criteria and 3 or 4 people will, review the, bids and, mark, give it a score and then
Okay.
they come together in the highest score. So they haven't always given it to the lowest bidder. They want someone that they feel is a good bid, but is the best for that job.
Sure.
So you don't have to go with the lowest bidder.
No,
No,
we didn't.
yeah,
Okay, so I think that the thing that we're looking for, at this point, tell me if I'm wrong, but, select, basically, if we put it out for bid, we've got to review the proposals and bids, we come back and make a selection and I think it needs to be this body that makes the selection.
That would be nice. Yeah.
well, I think one of you should be, maybe a couple of us and a couple of you, because you're qualified. Or, I can look at it and try to do the criteria, but I'm not as well versed in it as you are.
Sure. And as far as preparing the bid, we're certainly gonna need, you mentioned the 18 to 24,000 pound range. When we put that out to bid, we should have that listed.
Yep, I can put together a prospectus for you. If we need to go that route, I will do that.
They put it out.
Yep.
And the other thing too is that our procurement policy is different, whether or not it's state and federal funds. We just gotta make sure that we know whether or not it's state and federal.
Super, because we get clarity immediately.
Bonding requirement there as well. The contractor will have to be bonded.
We would need all information to put that out to bid, because I don't know anything about it, unless someone else wants to do that.
Right, we don't expect you to know right this minute, but they're gonna come help you.
Yeah, so along with this funding comes an access and maintenance agreement. And that access and maintenance agreement is agreement that you sign with the Lamoille Conservation District. That gives them access for 10 years to the work.
Mhm.
And if there's any failure in the work, then they have the option of bringing it back up to standard at their cost, not the town's cost. I'd see that as a major plus. There's no there's little, minimal management liability for the town. So, you know, some of this stuff, there's some pretty steep terrain, you know, over 35%. And if those closeouts and sediment pools blow and we get a big storm event, before things are revegetated or, you know, stable, then they'll come in and fix it. But the select board would have to agree to that access and maintenance agreement. No, let's see, another stipulation is, we cannot use this access for, the harvest of forest products or silviculture. 3 years after the reclamation law. That's because it was created by that.
Mhm.
That's one of the stipulations. Yeah.
Did you get all that, Michelle?
No,
Oh,
you're gonna have to provide all this.
Yeah.
I can't capture this now, and I don't know if I have time to do the RFP, so we're gonna have to like right away. I mean, we're gonna have to like schedule this and meet.
well,
Yeah, I'll do it for
I will help you, but,
Okay.
so do you feel that a contractor needs to look at the site to bid on
I
it?
would have to do a shot. Yep,
Alright, so you,
yes.
so we RFP, and so you would need to write up, what you would like to see.
Yep.
The
Yeah,
bid thing, I mean. Yeah, I mean, you did a good job over here.
you probably would want to put those numbers out. I mean, it's just.
No, this description,
Okay,
um,
so I can crib off state work, putting bids out for state reclamation projects on public
Yeah.
lands is pretty common. So, and it would be the same language. You know, where our benchmark is AMPs, the acceptable
Right.
maintenance practices. In the PDF that I sent out,
mhm,
it's geo-referenced. So if anybody wants to take that on their smartphone, they can navigate, you know, it's just like a base map and it shows where you are.
so you would need an RFP, just the date, you're gonna have the pre-meeting, you know, when bids are due, where they're due. If they're gonna be open, because they have to be sealed. And then you would need to have a bid package. That they would, you know, maybe use your email, that they could email you and you could just send a PDF out to them. You've done it before? So you know,
Well, I've done
am I
that.
just
I'm
telling
not
you?
sure if it's, you know, the official way. You know, I've had it, you know, warm to the public, you wait a certain period of time, so on and so forth. Whether it's to the standard that you're saying, you know, probably not. You know, like this past winter, I had a log job in, another town and it was easy, it's just to have this select board give me 3 recommendations. So I can be an arm length away and, you know, I don't get accused of. People don't think there's cronyism or,
Right.
you know, conflicts of interest going on, you know, it's important to eliminate that stuff.
So what I'm hearing from Michelle, you don't have the capacity right now to prepare the RFPs. But if you could put the RFP out, then the board could do the legwork to make sure that whoever we select complies with. The 49,000 pages that we have to comply with.
Yeah, so what I'm thinking right now is I'm probably gonna tap one of the watershed foresters. Probably Rick Time. Because he does a lot of these bids on state forests and it sounds like the same thing. It's an old hat for him. And he has helped on this project. He put Silas on it. To help us with the phosphorus thing and they would be more than happy to help us and could probably do it in an hour. Take me a day.
I was gonna say, I have to imagine there's some boilerplate that you just fill in, you know, the ad, it's Wolcott instead of standard, and yes, you know, it's these things that is the work you've already done. And the rest of it, it's, you know, you guys are managing this process for other kinds of things. all the time, so just the specifics of this particular work.
If Luke, if you send everything, send the RFP package to me, I can take a look at it and just see. Just give you all the specifics as it relates to the procurement policy.
Super.
Like we advertise for we're required to advertise for 2 weeks.
Yep.
And then once we get bids in, we are required, because it's federal or state money, we're required to do sort of a background search on them, just to see if they're in good standing on sam.gov, if the business that they require us to check any awards that we're considering awarding with sam.gov.
That's good.
Look, I have one quick question, and apologies if this is a silly question. So we're requesting bids, which include a dollar amount. What are these dollar amounts then?
Those are off comps and standard,
So this is an estimate.
that's an estimate.
Okay.
That's correct.
And,
So where those numbers come is, comps and, a lot of it is, a federal cost share money.
Okay.
Through the Farm Bill EQIP program. And those rates are set annually by a committee. It gives us a good comp. If a contractor was to take this project and did it at the right time, you know, with the right material, they could do it in a week and a half. If they come out there and the machine isn't up to snuff and it's rainy and they go and make a mess, it's gonna take them a month and a half. So it's, yeah. And somebody with experience that can look at those soils and understand how they operate on shallow soils like that. And, yeah. So that's the pool of money that we have to work with. I would suspect it's gonna come in less than that. Yeah.
Okay.
So those numbers essentially represent kind of a ceiling of a reasonable expectation.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so one of the less harder to control things we're doing is there's some stream crossings in the center of the parcel, the saddle. You can see they're sort of juxtaposed to the vernal pools. The vernal pools have like a radial buffer. Okay, those radial buffers are like, you know, you're supposed to buffer them when you're doing work. So those stream crossings, when you're practicing silviculture, oftentimes you'll brush in a stream crossing and put foliar wood in it, keep your machine up. Sometimes you do a vented forward and put a pipe in first. But those crossings, they stay down. So we have impoundments. We really want to get those clean. So what we're gonna do is the contractor has to track up, grab that bollywood, and they have to track out of the wetland buffer. So out of the wetland and then out of the 50-foot buffer, and then just daylight it, you know, hide it behind the hummock, something like that, and reform those banks. But the lineal foot for that is pretty generous. And it's you know, it's a beautiful section of forest. It's gorgeous. It's really nice, good structure, good composition. And then you come across that and you like sours in it. So it'd be nice to have that dealt with. Yep.
I guess I have one question. You said there can't be any logging for 3 years after this is done.
On those trails. Yep. On the trails.
Now, I know there's a stand of ash up in there. It's gotta be removed. Is that anywhere near those trails?
Yeah, there's a lot of ash in there. Yep.
So would it be best to get the ash removed before you have this done? Because of the ash borer. I mean, I killed 3 already this year.
Yeah, you're spot on. Yeah, it's an issue. We have 2 burning issues,
Right, but I
you
mean,
know.
you
Yeah.
wait 3 more years, you're just cutting down dead wood.
Yeah, you're 100% right. The thing is that artery from the saddle, it slopes around above the recently purchased parcel beyond the town clerk's office. You know, that's on really shallow soil. It's basically on ledge.
Right.
And we wouldn't want to extract from there. We'd want to pull it that way. There's some
Towards the back of
options.
the town shed.
There you go. That would be a better option. And then the road that the road that, is parallel to the Lamoille River. You know, that one we could log on as it is. I mean, there's two, we would have an instant discharge.
A lot of brush, but you can get up in there all right, yeah.
There's actually a road below it. I call it the Lawrence Douglas Road because it looks like one of his dozer cuts. It's beautiful. It's slabbed in really nice. And that could be used. Yeah.
So I guess
So
that's,
that one's not being remediated, wouldn't be remediated with this work?
No, there's no concern.
no concern there, it's all good.
Yeah.
So I guess that's my only question is. Did you get the wood out before this or?
Yeah, ideally, we would, definitely. Ideally, we would, but, you know, there's a lot of staging and planning. That, you know, goes into that. And,
Is this pot of money gonna dry up before we can?
well, it has to do with, phosphorus reduction, I believe, I suspect it has to do with the whole Lake Champlain cleanup initiative, since we're in the watershed. And the other NIFWIF funding, we're trying to tie to the Lake Champlain initiative cleanup. So is it gonna dry up? Who knows? I mean, things are getting
So
tight
that
all
with the
over the place.
legislature, they're always, you know. It's been around for a while, I'm sure they're gonna move on to something new, so, education.
Just seems like it might be best to use the money while we have the money and find enough capacity to get the ash out. I mean, if the stipulation is we can't use these roads, then we'll use roads that are really, really close to these roads.
Well, the Lawrence Douglas Road is literally
It's a great road.
toss a bottle over the bank and you hit his road.
So
it's, yeah.
there's still a path out.
I'm just, that's my only
Yeah,
concern.
make it easier to clean it up properly and make sure it's a proper acting and it might be nice.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing is, you know, we couldn't in good conscience put a logging contractor on these roads with like stream crossings that haven't been pulled out and, you know, so. Definitely something to weigh. Yep, because they turn into liabilities. Those big ash crowns, you know, they die and they die from the top. It's like raining spears down. It's, yep, I dealt with a bunch of those in Moncton and Charlotte this winter, and they're terrifying. There's not loggers, I mean, you can't even bump the trees. If you big rings spearing on the ground. Yep.
So you are gonna do some investigation, you're gonna find out. From Forster for RFP.
Yeah, so I'm gonna figure out if this is federal or state.
Well, I guess it doesn't matter really at this point, it's not municipal,
Federal and state are the same.
they're the same,
Okay.
so it's federal.
Okay.
And you're gonna get a RFP that you can fill in and change. You need to set a date. How many weeks is it before 2 weeks has to be advertised? You have to fit in there, you said you wanted a site visit. You have to decide whether it's mandatory or not. And set that into the RFP. And where it is, the date, and then. You need to, I guess, really that. So it doesn't look like a conflict of interest, the bid should be emailed to Michelle.
Okay.
In the RFP. And she'll give you the particulars, like they need to be sealed bids. The big thing is doing a bid package that can be sent out to people who are interested in bidding.
So it's basically everything that somebody needs to know.
So everybody needs
so
to be able to
exactly,
bid
yeah.
apples to apples, the same thing.
Yes.
And if you change it, you have to, you need to keep emails of everyone who's requested it if you do an addendum. Because they all need to know the same things.
Yeah, it seems like your bid package is mostly gonna be that geo reference map with the segments drawn on it and this. This year and then link to your A and Bs, and I can't imagine it's gonna be a whole lot more complicated than that.
Yep, it's pretty much what the state does.
Yeah,
Yep.
Do they typically have a question, questions and responses? to
They
it?
do, yeah, AMP violations, the appropriate insurance, they require you to be additionally insured, I do forestry for the state,
Yeah,
but I dealt with that today.
so what I was thinking of, if you send out the bid package, everybody looks at it and then. People may have questions and so, you prepare responses to all the questions and send all the responses stack to people. I don't know if that would be part of a standard process here or desirable to do in this case or not.
It depends if you have a required pre-bid meeting, then you will have everybody's email address if you are interested in bidding. That's one way to approach it, Gordon.
or if they request the bid.
Yep.
If you're just sending the bid documents out email, their request is the email.
Or we post them online. I typically just post them online so that,
Mhm.
so in your RFP, you just say you can access the documents here.
On the website.
Yeah.
Seems to me it would make sense to have a site visit required.
I think it's,
I would,
People waste their time.
right,
Okay, let's try this one.
Yeah, right.
because you may have someone with the right bid and what you think is gonna be right to get there and they go. You don't wanna touch it more.
Yeah, their estimators throwing darts in the dartboard.
well, yesterday was the wastewater.
Hmm.
Pre-bid and it wasn't mandatory and I was amazed that it wasn't.
Also, Luke or Gordon, if it's a smaller company, for the insurance, and they don't have workers' comp, then we require them to sign an additional form that says that the town will not be paying workers' comp.
Makes sense. Or liability. Yeah.
Or I have to give it a certificate of insurance made out to the town, anyone would.
Yeah, so the mandatory pre-bid meeting that would make it much more likely to get local folks, right? People who want to come and,
Mhm.
nobody's gonna wanna drive 3 or 4 hours for it.
I think if they drive 3 or 4 hours, that they're gonna be higher in price anyway.
Yeah.
Probably, that's what we experience.
And if you want, we could designate a select board meeting to open the bids, depending if that's, if
So
it falls at the right time.
would you open the bids, open the bids all at once and score them at that time?
We
essentially?
could.
Or, okay. Do you have to, or can you, open them all, what, the bid opening aspect of it? I don't know exactly what that means.
It's so that you can avoid, say if I open them and then someone, I let it slip, that someone underbid somebody else. It's
Gotcha.
just to make sure that sealed bid is fair and equitable, so
Essentially, we would assign a committee and those people would all be there for the opening with a scoring rubric. I would love to have one or both of you guys or some other member on that.
Sure.
Is committee the right word? But in that group of people that open that.
So basically open and score them all at once.
Right, and whether that's a part of a regular meeting, I don't believe it needs to be a regular meeting.
No, it doesn't. No. But then you would bring that to the board and we'd approve it, the recommendation.
and if they come in via email, I just record the name and put the names on a spreadsheet, but I don't look bid.
Yeah, part of the submission guidelines, I think, is to having a PDF file in there, so you don't get to see them really,
Sounds pretty. Yeah. I mean, it's a process, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what we do with
Yeah.
more bureaucratic.
Yeah.
We'll get the speed going.
Okay, cool. Yes, so we'll find out here soon.
Okay,
There
great.
it is. Yep. Okay.
Well, thanks for putting this on your agenda.
Well, thank you. Your work,
Yeah, thanks for doing the work.
keeping our forest up to date.
Yeah,
We only have a map. I'm excited that it's a new map.
we're working on
Okay,
it. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
bye.
Yeah, all right, take care. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um. So. I met for the MERP grant, I met with Ron Smith regarding energy tax credits. There's a few more things that we have to do, because we filed for the fiscal year, the state fiscal year, the town's fiscal year. We can't file for the tax credits until July 1st, so it's kind of on hold, but that may be fortuitous because a slight issue that Michael will bring up, came about with building codes and the solar installation.
So we need a Department of Fire Safety permit for the solar and batteries. A lot of back and forth here, but essentially what happened was the installation would have complied with the code update before November 4th, 25, when the state went to the newer set of codes. And because the permit was submitted prior to, but not crossed to anybody's desk until after the code update, the install does not currently meet new codes as they're written. So Michelle, Jeff, and I have been going back and forth with the fire inspectors, trying to find a path forward. Lots of different things, and if you're interested, I can bore you with the details, but in the interest of time. What's the short version? The short version is we got a letter from we got an email from the fire inspector today in preparation for this meeting. And essentially, we're going to be able to choose whether or not we bring the room up to. Okay, if I can email. Whether we bring the room up to a 1 hour fire rating, which would include adding drywall and other different things. Adding drywall to the interior of the room is complicated. It'll be room trims, windows and door trims that'll have to be replaced. We'll have to add to the outlets. We'll have to do a great many things. And then do fire sealing around all the penetrations, which will be a nightmare because that's also our network closet. So all of our network penetrations will then have to be fire rated. We were really hoping to avoid that. I was really hoping to avoid that. An alternative would be to follow all these other codes that are outlined and sprinkle the room. I don't know exactly how many heads we will need. I anticipate it being 1 or 2.
Is that dry foam? Were we talking about dry foam?
I haven't read the codes. I got the email too late to know exactly what they mean. I will have to look through and see what the plan is, but my understanding is that we would be able to put a standard sprinkler head or 2, and as long as it's fewer than 6, we can feed that off our domestic water supply. That will be the quickest and lowest cost way to comply with fire safety. Jeff, the solar install guy, he is in favor of sprinkling, but again, I didn't get the email in time to know exactly what that's going to look like.
So what kind of protection is there if the sprinkler goes off all those connections? Are they gonna get network computer and everything?
We may have to maybe build some sort of just box around those.
Yeah, I mean, if the sprinkler goes off, it will cook all of those things. If we did,
Well, if you did it with dry chemical, but the thing is, you're gonna have to use a special dry chemical because baking soda will do just as bad.
Yeah. So there's tables and outlines and things. And like I said, I wish that I had gotten earlier in the week when I asked for it. So that I could have a more complete presentation as to what our options actually are.
Before the outlawed, how would you could use that? We've outlawed it.
Because we could, I'm sure that there is a chemical out there, I'm sure that there is a system out there that would work. Originally, we were going to be required to do a 2-hour rating, which was positively insane.
Thank you to Michael. because
What
Michael, like,
about getting
fully
hold of fire
researched.
tech in Barry?
That might be the call that we made. And the other piece of this that's important, and I don't have this in writing anywhere, but Jeff has offered to pay for this because he feels it's an oversight on his part. So this doesn't have to cost taxpayer dollars, especially because I think the MERP grant would cover whatever else.
I think the MERP grant, because we have not submitted the final payment, the last 28,000, because we were waiting for the tax credits. So we haven't submitted for the final payment, so I think we haven't yet closed this particular portion out. So if we have to do any remedy, it was not bid on, but I think because standards changed, I mean, I'm waiting for Tori to get back into town next week to find out if the grant will allow sort of these types of modifications if they weren't bid on.
So lots of things still up in the air, unfortunately.
So Jeff is paying for it through state money,
Jeff offered to pay for it because
personally or through state money?
personally through the business because he just wants to put this.
Oh, Jeff isn't the fire warden.
No,
Oh.
Jeff is the solar install guy who gave us a fantastic deal on the solar install
I don't
and
know.
bought our roof.
And,
So I'd like to see if we can get it covered with the grant money, because we were 15,000, like 14,000 under on the install that we were given to do the solar install.
so we applied before the date, but they weren't able to, it just sat on their desk because they were too busy.
No, he applied for the permits in December,
Oh.
December 4th.
I thought you said before.
So, yeah, there's some confusion here and everybody has different dates.
Oh.
What Jeff has said verbally was that he submitted prior to November. And the install, like the solar happened around early November.
And end of November, because they got it up right, they happened toward the middle to end of November, because then it was turned on basically December 8th.
Yeah, the committing the batteries December 8th, which means they were hung somewhere before that. Anyway, the dates are all very close and they're all very confusing. But essentially what DFS said is that they weren't able to process the application until February. And it doesn't matter that our building is incredibly low risk and it's incredibly low occupancy and it has 4 fire exits and it's all signed well and nobody cares about any of those things. They only care about forcing us to either sprinkle or add sheetrock to the room. And it was my feeling that the cost of adding, at the time that they were asking for the 2-hour rating, the cost of adding that level of work to that building, both in the downtime for our network side of things, the disruption to the town office and the actual physical cost of doing the work. It was unreasonable.
He did mention that that he couldn't find any way to rate our room, so given that it's an unknown, they want us to bring it up to 1 hour. He doesn't know if it's a 1 hour, it could very well be that he's not sure.
Right. It seems like sprinkling is going to be the least intrusive and the least expensive. Even if that does mean that we need to put an umbrella over our network stuff.
Could the network stuff be relocated?
And the wall, could it be divided, the room or something?
I don't know if fire code then.
That's possible.
Like, so you have the network, like junction boxes. That's, if that gets wet, that's not the end of the world. It's the electronics, the powered stuff.
Yeah, the computer.
The
Yeah, the
network?
powered stuff can
That's
just be on the other end of a wire in a different room. Really?
Or in a cabinet, I mean,
Yeah.
a watertight cabinet. A water resistant cabinet.
Well, yeah, be careful with watertight because you need air, you need cooling.
I did ask at one point if the batteries could be relocated to the boiler room, because that room theoretically should already comply with fire separation, and I was told without very much explanation, no. Even though that room is, as I said, it should have a fire rating. They basically just said, eh.
But that had to do with the heat in that room and the oil or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
It might be the heat.
The stuff that what Bruce said Bruce is the assistant fire inspector, the guy. What he had said was that there was separation distances required between fuel storage and batteries. He didn't get into what that distance is. When I looked on, or in the code books, the distance is 3 feet. We could do it where we would be well over the 3-foot distance, but again, I was pretty much told no. And being that they are the authority having jurisdiction, you really have to be gentle with how hard you push. So I didn't push that hard.
Sounds like get the hold of fire tech tomorrow.
Good call. Jeff should be on it. I mean, this is mostly Jeff's battle. I just,
Right, but I mean, I've had to deal with them a lot.
Yeah.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
And they service this area.
so yeah, I will do some research. I'll get a hold of them, and I will do some research to find out if there are any kind of testing or other requirements involved with a single head sprinkler unit. And what we can do to protect our other interests in that room.
When it comes to the sprinkler heads, it's not them, it's the flow line. You have to be, you can have them dry, you don't have to have them watered.
But we would
So in other words, it won't let water into the system until the water head goes off.
and because of how close we are to the utility room, we would be positioned well. To do that.
And it's a safer bet.
Even if it does cost us a network computer, it's not like it's a massive style computer, it's a $400 piece of.
Oh, it's that one, we need a new one.
Seriously. Well, somebody will go bump one of the rain heads then.
That or also, if we're looking at it, would it be worth looking and see maybe if we could relocate that to a better spot anyways than that spot?
Right, the back side of that is the kitchen. I suppose we could take out part of the kitchen and break room. Should we need to do that?
If you're doing a cabinet, in theory, you put a cabinet somewhere else. Run stuff to that cabinet.
So yeah, step one, I will finish the fight that I started and find out what the codes say.
But I think fire tech will help you, with the code rules and
I'm hoping so.
what can be done.
But again, thank you for all your help with that.
You're welcome. I love reading codes. I got to buy some new code books. I'm excited about it. He's right. Never thought I would have to own a electrical storage system code book, the NFPA 855/2021.
It's a good thing you do get the sprinkler one.
That's next.
That's just as boring.
We're done with that, we'll just move on, so the rail trail. Dylan and the crew have done most of the work, they've got, the stay mat is installed if you haven't been out to see it. And the stay mat that's leading up to it on the road is gonna be stripped down a little bit, it's pretty thick right now, but, they didn't know what to do with the extra material, so they put it there. The next step is to build an ADA ramp, and we have permission to move. Originally, we were gonna put it on the side that kind of faces the road, and the kiosk. But now we're gonna move it over to the back side of the foundation, sort of toward the woods and away from the rail trail. And then it was mentioned that instead of a wooden ramp, why not put in an earthen ramp and then put stay mat on top? I don't know about pricing, I'm still trying to get railing, because Michael, you had said you know a guy.
I've worked with a couple of different railing companies.
I need to get pricing on railing, because I would think then we could either do, I talked to Dylan first of all, to see. The ramp would have to be 48 inches wide, when I read all the specs, and there's only one way in or out, so it has to be wide enough for two people to pass. And then it would require railing on both sides. And so I talked to Dylan to see if we had an earthen ramp, would he be able to get the excavator in? And he's like, it would be tight, but we could do any work we needed to do by hand, so they could drop the stain out or whatever we needed. He was a little up in the air about how he would finish it, so it's a ramp that you could either put stone to go up to. It would be about a 20-foot ramp to get into a 15-inch lip. So we'd really need a 15-foot ramp, but we could just make it a little more gradual, so that we start at the end of the foundation. But he recommended just putting in more stone to hold the earth instead of sloping it off, because then you're more likely to have, runoff and erosion. I don't know how the rails are gonna fit into that. I just need to talk to either a metal rail person or have someone go wooden, but
We had a guy in North Hyde Park
do the.
do the rails that we have. I forget what his name is.
That's the guy I'm thinking of though. I've hired him and there was one other guy.
So I was just gonna get a quote from him, and if it's reasonable, then I'll just get one more quote from somebody else. But just wanted to see if the board had any opinions about wooden versus earthen. They're gonna cost probably about the same. We were,
Earthen's better long term.
is it, okay, it's less maintenance, I think. We were granted $1,600 for the labor and $1,833 for materials. It was originally quoted for the wooden. But I think we could probably, if we did a lot of the work ourselves, we could probably get by with like put that $1,600 toward the labor, toward the purchase of the loan. We'll see that. If it's the board's preference, we'll just pursue the earthen.
It's your project.
Right.
Who wants to replace a wooden ramp when it
Well,
rots out?
and
Yeah,
And stain it, well, and then you've got, traction modifiers, you're gonna have to put some kind of grip tape on deck boards and things and.
it'll go better where it is situated too.
I do like the idea of building another stone wall to hold the tap. I think then don't do it. Okay, Champlain oil parking lot. I gave you all, in front of you, you have the bids that I got. I sought out 5 companies and 3 responded with the bids. The cheapest is Keller and Associates, and he did the original appraisal back in 2007. So I don't know if you want to wait until the other 2 respond, or it's been 10 days. Doesn't that matter?
Yeah, I like to move on.
We'd like to move on.
Yeah.
Because we are
10
not
days
bound
is-
by the procurement, this is actually a professional service. So we really just need to get 2 bids, 2 or more bids.
Yeah. We got 3.
You'd like to use Keller, or since he's familiar with the project?
I like this price.
Yeah. I
It
don't
will
know
fit
that
more
he's-
into the budget we have, won't it?
He was not on the Union Bank referral list. I asked Union Bank for. Okay.
We're doing Champlain a favor.
He did come in at 330,000 in 2007, so we'll see, but, so we'll use,
Well,
We're
that
gonna
makes
work.
them happy.
do you need a motion to award that?
Yeah. I'll make a motion that we hire Keller and Associates for the commercial appraisal on the Champlain oil lot.
I'll second.
Any further questions? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
The town floor have requested, quotes to refinish the town floor, reseal the town floor from 3 companies. 2 have actually responded. One submitted a bid for $27.45. I'm awaiting the second bid, but sounds like it's gonna be roughly between 25 and 2,800 anyway. So I'll let you guys know when, that second bid comes in. It's not cheap, but it's mainly in supplies right now. What they're gonna do is, it's a water-based sealant. They'll pull up the marley, or we'll pull up the marley, and they will lightly sand the entire area. They'll put down 1 coat on the area under the marley because it's already very well protected, and then 2 coats on the well-trafficked area. They're not touching the stage, but I do have ideas of how we can deal with the stage. We have to get it tested for lead paint. Neither guy said that this floor would be able to withstand the sanding to get that paint off. So one of them just said, all the state does for lead abatement is comes in and puts down 2 coats of latex paint on top of something because it gets rid of the dust. So if we wanted to paint that, we could. Neither recommended sanding it, so we could go in and putty some of the uneven areas and then just slap some paint on if we were so inclined. But neither bid is including the stage, it's just the gymnasium area and then the kitchen and the entryway. Starlink is, we have Starlink on hold, basically. It's suspended, but we were paying $5 a month for that. Now they're increasing it to $10 a month to pause the service. I don't know. Should we keep it going? You were the one that said we definitely should keep it. Should we?
I don't know that we definitely should. I know one thing, so I have a 1st generation Starlink at home, and I have it disabled completely. And because it's not communicating with this network, it's actually put it into obsolescence. So that's one thing I'd worry about, but they did notify me that that was going to happen. So
Which means someone else gets the number or whatever.
no, it means that the software inside the hardware is no longer compatible with their network.
Stop getting updated.
Yeah,
You know what, it is causing problems because it still shows up
right.
and people are clicking on it and it actually
It
defaults.
does connect,
Yeah.
but it's super slow. And I think there's a bandwidth limit, or not a bandwidth limit, but a data limit. So if people are getting on it, if we need to actually use it in an emergency, we might not have accessibility to it. So really the big reason to keep it current is that emergency moment to just jump right on it and not have to reactivate and then hope that Starlink has an open connection.
But nobody's actually able to get on it. So I would have to go online somehow and,
I mean, we could change the password and then nobody can get on it.
You can disable the Wi-Fi, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think one of Ryan's requests for keeping it, emergency manager Ryan, was that when the town loses power, our cell service is down as well. AT&T's cell service is down as well. So Starlink was his only means of communication in those times.
And if the fiber gets damaged,
The
there's
generator
nothing else.
doesn't keep on and out.
Generator would do our part, but it wouldn't do.
If those boxes that
Yeah,
back
does
up
my
batteries, and they go
Wi-Fi at
dead,
home.
then
Wi-Fi would probably be fine if we have a generator, but nobody else has it.
it also
Not-
depends on the boxes too.
Not for sure. It
Those
depends
boxes
on
that
how
have power,
widespread
they
the
lose power. There's no, well, the other boxes, doesn't matter if you have power. Same with all the regular phone lines, they gotta have backup power to run them. If that power goes out, all the other lines go dead.
Yep.
The Starlink will still work as long
Well-
as you have power and it works.
So Starlink is just a relay, right, to another base station. I think the base station we hit from here is over on the other side of Lake Champlain. So
The one I hit at home is New York City.
New York City? Okay. So I knew it was in New York.
But anyway, so that was something that he discussed, was that if the village, because I think in 23 or 24, one of the floods, I think the village lost power, like the whole street, Main Street lost. And if the village loses power without these copper lines, now that we're all fiber optic, Consolidated or FiberNet or whoever it is that runs those now, they'll also have to have a generator for the internet to work, regardless as to whether or not we have power.
And the boxes, like for us, there, for the village is sitting down further down the road up there on the hill, there's barely a side.
So I am definitely in favor of getting rid of the Starlink. It was something that the town expressed an interest in a couple of years ago anyway. I just would want to check with the emergency manager to make sure that that is in line with his needs. Which I guess are our needs.
Yeah, it's not impossible to reconnect it if it's disconnected fully. But if we need to do that in the case of an emergency, that's a whole process that we might not want to do.
As it is right now, you would log into that and then go to manage the account. I don't know who has access to that, but
I haven't given anybody
we would need to log into the Wi-Fi, manage the Starlink account, and then reactivate the service. And
Yeah.
it's a few keystrokes.
And yeah, the Starlink account is separate from the Wi-Fi, right? And you have to do it from a phone app. Oh no, I guess. Yeah, I guess you could do it from a website.
So what would it entail for Ryan to get one of the fire department's radios and kill this whole problem? Because now we can still have the codes put in so we can get all the town through in the fire department.
I think
Plus EMS.
I think that his concern was public outreach. I think it was less about reaching emergency services.
Well, we've already had that established on the phone lines.
Not now that they're fiber. But that went away when the copper went on.
That, and also I don't know how long their batteries are, but unless they have a backup generator for these fiber lines in place. Like I doubt it's probably a battery backup like most control systems, like a UPS sitting in there. When they go dead, you're done.
Yeah.
The town still has copper phone lines, they have not found a voice over on the town yet.
It's just a matter of time. And we're also spending a lot of time discussing $120 a year. So I want to make that point too.
I simply don't have enough information to know whether or not, I mean, my memory is the cell service went down. But that system may have changed, I have no idea.
I don't think it's gonna be any better with trouble is like if we get a weak outage for stuff. It ain't gonna most of your fiber lines unless the guy for the fiber, they have a guy with a generator coming and charging all these things once every so many hours at every box. They ain't gonna have any of this.
You're gonna make downhill on the flood.
At least the Starlink give a shot at least we might have something.
Yeah, so.
Okay. We're trying to get finally got a contract for the garage, the town garage to change over to Fidium. And originally we've gone back and forth on should we keep a phone in the town garage? Again, you have to go to voiceover and it's $30 a month. To rent the professional seat, all the equipment and things like that, so. Do we want to spend the money? The guys really don't care if they have a phone over there because they have their cell phones. If there's an emergency and the Wi-Fi is not, Wi-Fi isn't working, they're gonna have to use their cell phones anyway.
Or to Kurt's point.
Are they gonna have to do the radio that does?
So. It costs $30 a month, they're fine with getting rid of it, that's, $360 a year, so if the board. Would like just to get rid of the phone, have all calls come to the office. Most most road issues now come via the web. And so we just I forward those to Dylan and respond. Couple calls, I know the one, but not too many.
So if, is he? You know, if a state official or someone needs to reach out to him by phone, is he's willing to use his cell phone? Huh?
He does all the time, you know.
Well, they have his cell, they call him on his cell phone,
Pardon?
they call him on his cell phone.
I think so, yeah.
I'm assuming a bunch of the stuff for all the other stuff he has to apply for, probably all has to have a reference number for it, like the state wants for everything.
Usually for any loans or things like that, I give the office number. Because they're hardly ever at the garage, and so it's just safer. I know how to, you know, and then I text him. I think we can get voiceover back again. You know, we can actually install it if we need to. Later on.
There's internet in the town garage.
Yeah, there is, but it's always in and out, and that's why I've been trying for almost a year, since last August, to get Fidium out there. And they couldn't during the winter months, and so I've been bugging them, and then they sent the contract, and I'm like, well, before we sign it, I just wanna make sure that we wouldn't spend $30 a month.
Now, is there anything in the union contract whereas we have to pay for their cell phone?
No,
Do you hear any rumors of that?
no.
I just don't want like some new employee or they come to us for negotiations that we're gonna start paying their phone bill.
Then we would just set up.
Okay.
Again, calls could go to the office, and if
Yeah.
they had to make a call, they would have to come to where the phone is. Because that is, I'm with you, I'm concerned about future road crews.
Well, the fire department's also in that building. Is there
They
any,
pay their own.
they have their own internet service?
Yeah,
They've already been transferred to Fidium, and when they did the transfer, that's when the garage Wi-Fi started getting really wonky. So I think Dylan they just logged into the fire department for
I don't know where I'm going here.
So I think there would be enough bandwidth to serve both units with just one prescription.
We can do that.
Just, you can't do that officially. It's against the terms of service.
Well, but is it though, because that's a town-owned building?
Yeah, it's a little gray.
If the highway department had Wi-Fi and it was just unprotected. Or the other way around, if the fire department had Wi-Fi, and again, it's one building, it's one service.
All they
one
need
address.
is the password.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure Fidium, if they were to install an account for the town garage, they just pull one of the fibers from the same line that's going to the fire department.
Right, but the
So-
town crew, all they need is just the password to that Wi-Fi and they're set.
that's what they're using right now, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
you know, at the pleasure of the fire department.
I would prefer to do that the other way around. I would prefer the highway department to have their subscription, and then we could, if we wanted to, eliminate the expense of the fire departments.
I agree.
Let that be under a town managed entity as opposed to something that you give an appropriation to.
I think we're a municipality, I don't know that we can go down that road.
They're a separate entity.
Yeah, anyway, yeah, so, yay, video?
Replace the horrible consolidated line that every consolidated line around here does, and randomly goes out all the time.
I hate to ask a question that's gonna drag this on any longer, but. Do we have to do voice over IP through Fidium? or
No,
do-
Absolutely
I
not.
say other services. could do
Absolutely,
this?
yeah.
And then that's the church student stuff, so.
yeah,
I mean, there's
$6.50 a month.
dozens of them out
There
there.
you go.
They're
I
cheap.
forget what it's called, just paid it today. Omar.
Uma's one of the big players. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're cheaper ones, like possibly for the office if you wanted to. do
Yeah,
something like
Uma-
that.
For
Take
that
off my-
$6.50 a month.
Yeah,
We have to eventually, so I did not want to do that when it was so up in the air. Changing over all of the Wi-Fi, but I think in the next 6 months, we're gonna be required.
If we do that,
Yeah.
we might as well have we could have the office with the figured out with the.
with different extensions,
Yeah.
virtual extensions, yeah, it's,
746.
I'm actually just learning a new one at my current job. And it seems to be working really well. Like I have an extension number and I do it all right through here. Some of them do it through the computer, some actually have a physical phone. And it's that flexible, you could have whichever option you want. And
So-
it works well.
To answer the specific highway question, it feels like the board is leaning, don't do the phone line. Just do the internet service. Was that the original question?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And let's get the internet in there.
FEMA good news, we received the $224,000, whatever it was. And some odd change, $224,279.82 for the work that we did in 2024. It's in our it's in our bank account, and Belinda paid off the credit line that we took out in 2024, so that's been paid off this week. So that project will be closed out. The state still won't be paying, so 12.5% until everything is done. I did submit an extension request letter to VEM and FEMA for the East Hill Road culvert because Joey Wilson, the engineer, is just having a hard time. Mike Adams is ghosting him. He usually responds right away, but this is regarding the new Army Corps of Engineer requirements or state standards. There's nobody really knows what's going on about that. So I talked to Joey today. He's sending another letter, but he's in holding mode basically for the permits for that project. And it may mean that if the Army Corps of Engineers standards apply, we have to go into a 4-foot box culvert there. So it means that we have to then go back to FEMA and say, look, we have to reschedule this. And Joey did say that the state submitted an incorrect hydro study.
Nice.
We had it, actually Lucian had asked Dexter to do a hydro design for that. And that one is correct, but the FEMA would only use the state ones. And so it was, that is just one of those projects that never goes away. It's fascinating. We're awaiting the hydro study for Town Hill and another one that I ordered almost a year ago, a couple others. So that I can see if I can get permits for the culvert on Town Hill and the culvert on Marsh Road. One of them, because those have to go out to bid because they're pretty big. They're on perennial streams. I don't think we're gonna get designs on those. I'm waiting for the hydro study and they're pretty much standard culvert replacements. They're just bigger culverts, but they're pretty deep as they are. So Dylan's looked at them and he doesn't think that he need a design. So once I get permits from Chris Brunel, because they're on, both of those sit on perennial streams, and so Chris Brunel can override from the Corps of Engineers. And so once we get permits from Chris Brunel, we just send it off to the Corps of Engineers to say this is what's going on. And then I can put these out to bid, hopefully get them done this year. The other projects are nominal, and so Dylan will be doing those. And that's where we are with the uniform board. I drafted the kennel letter agreement with Flourish Farms. It's funny that the interlocal agreement they were trying to bring Sequist in, and Sequist just backed out. So they're scrambling.
Well,
So they contacted us to see if Nikki could at least temporarily house some dogs for this Hyde Park in Morrisville. They are talking to NCAL, but they're scrambling, so I'm working on the agreement with Nikki. I said if she does take them on, that's on her. We're not doing any interlocal agreements. We don't have time to manage it. It's not necessary. She can take on.
Yeah, she has a
other
business,
things. Yeah, she would take on the other.
It was a turn.
I, for one, am not all that surprised by that. I remember that they have done a great many of these agreements with that one kennel facility, and they've all kind of gone like this.
And I think she has
Sequence?
probably
Uh,
experienced
this was
issues.
the one that we
Oh,
were
we're
working
backing
on.
out of that one. Then we all agreed to back out of it, and they were trying to find a new facility, and Nikki and I pitched her idea, like, nah. And they went with Sequence. And Sequence backed out the last meeting, so I mean, here we are. I finished the employee job descriptions with the exception of one. And the annual employee agreements that we were required to do per the audit. I'm awaiting the job descriptions from the library, for the library. And then we're still awaiting signature from our janitor and custodian. I requested 2 more traffic studies. I think we need one on, I asked for one on Elmo Pond Road up near Wing Road, because we already have one on the other end. We thought it might be useful just for future budgeting and also for grants. It's good to have a big traffic count. And then I asked for one up on Sand Hill. I wanted one at the, near, 15 and then right at that pull off, what's his name? Starts with the W. The guy who was
well, wait a
on,
minute, Sand Hill,
yes, right across from the erosion. What's the guy's name? Starts with the W. Oh my God.
Samuel W. Route 15, I don't touch.
no, I mean,
I don't.
it doesn't work,
Samuel doesn't hit 15.
no,
I'm sorry, I meant, North Wolcott Road. I'm so sorry.
oh,
But who is the guy that lives across Mrs. Drive, lives across from the erosion? Last name.
which erosion? Wheeler,
We,
I don't,
no,
no, which erosion?
the major erosion that's the problem spot. On Sand Hill.
Whipple?
Oh, coming down the
So
hill,
we're
coming
still-
down the hill,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
It's over in the Wild Branch.
Yeah, Whipple, myself.
Yeah, so that's where I requested both of the studies.
So from where to where? Whipple's,
Whipple's down to North Wolcott.
Road,
oh, well, there's only 3 driveways.
Yeah, well, I just wanna know who's coming and going.
Yeah.
If that road fails.
Yeah.
We kind of.
I use it a lot,
Pardon?
I use it a lot if I'm coming from Craftsbury.
Part of our traffic.
Yeah.
Dylan did meet with Joey Wilson up there and this past week, and he agrees with everybody else that it's gonna take a lot of money to fix that, and we should probably just,
Move the road over?
it
I
would
was
take.
thinking about that.
I do have a comment about that also, and I meant to say that when I saw you guys there, but I didn't stop because you were right in the middle of it. The road, just in the 5 or 6 years that I've been living there, has gotten incredibly wide. All the way from my driveway down. And you can see that when you look at the stream crossing, the culvert just above the whole driveway. Where the culvert is not quite wide enough anymore, we're getting a lot of erosion there. Same thing happens on that lower culvert where that comes out, I think a lot of what we're seeing with that slope failure is that the top of the hill is getting wider and the bottom of the hill is not. I'm not saying necessarily that that's a bad thing, I just think that this problem looks exacerbated by the fact that our travel lanes are feet wider than they used to be.
That's common on every dirt road.
Absolutely.
This time. Joey Wilson did suggest that. And neither Dan nor Alec, but Joey's the engineer. He suggested that we just start adding rock to that slope right now, and it doesn't have to be supported, but just start adding rock. And he actually said, keep the trees there. We were told that maybe cut them and keep the stumps there, but to take the weight off of it, and Joey said, there's no slumping and there's no any indication that those trees are causing weight issues, so. Dylan, he said it would take a load of rock just to go up and, so at some point he thinks he's gonna drop some riprap in the major section right now. Joey thinks it will sustain it for a while. So. That's what's going on with Sand Hill. The highway department's basically been, Brendan attended a training on woodside mowing safety, and then they've been grading and sprinkle, and they did sweep, the asphalt streets and parking lots. Dylan, and I'm gonna start to work on something, I'll call Elmore and just like to get some sort of arrangement, we've been borrowing their sweeper. And so just maybe give them some money every year or have an agreement that we share some type of agreement for that. He said probably, last year we borrowed it and we put $400 into it. This year it didn't break. He just feels it would be fair, and I agree. That's all I have. That's me. Report.
Thank you, Michelle. So we've already gone over the Champlain parking lot appraisal bids. We'll move on to the wastewater excavation permit. I passed it around for, no people all gotten to see it, for the wastewater for basically School Street and East Elmore Road. The list of people on the back. Dylan's looked at it. His questions were answered and approved it. So it's just a matter of the board approving it. Has anyone else not seen it?
Just ignore that. It's the battery getting low.
I'll make a motion that we approve the right of way excavation permit for the wastewater project.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. I think it's just solid ground here somewhere. Please. Review fiscal year 25. This federal single audit state of Vermont management decision letter. Belinda sent out. We've addressed some of this already with our I don't know, purchasing policy.
Yeah, because we got another audit report that we went over earlier in the year, we not.
Well, we do the regular audit. And then the single audit. Did they carry this through, or is the single audit's the one that brought these up? Or was it the auditor's audit? I don't know either. Anyway, we've dealt with the purchasing policy and include checking with SAM.gov. And the town will go online and check for procurement, disbarment, and suspension of contractors. I'm not sure about the all this other stuff though. So I think I will meet with Belinda to see if she's what's going on and if she had to make any changes or not. I didn't see anywhere there that you needed to approve it or make a motion or anything.
I think I asked her, she said, no, they just need to look at it.
Well, it'd be nice to know though with the financial part, whether she's changing anything or. Updates, Town Hill Road culvert, request for materials for private ditch repair. Okay, you went to visit that site?
Yes, everything that was requested was outside of the town right away. And my last contact with her, she was dealing with all of those things on her own, the erosion and everything else. She was claiming that the culvert was realigned, but you can tell by the, asphalt cut that it wasn't. And she was claiming that she was taking more water, which might be true because at the top of the hill, there was some landscaping and forest work done that has created the opportunity for more water to collect in that ditch. But that's not regulated by us. So there was nothing, no permits that would have been issued for that work anyway. So essentially, yeah, her driveway was washing out and she's gonna take care of it and may have already haven't been back up.
And you recommend that she do it to codes to contact the state, correct?
I did tell her that, because that was technically a stream, she may need to contact the state to get a stream work permit. But I didn't have any knowledge of whether or not that would actually be required.
So that's resolved.
To the best of my knowledge.
Okay, great, thank you for doing that. Request for town support in the repealing of Act 181. It's back on here because Dolan wanted to revisit it. But it looks like the legislature has repealed it.
Yep. Well, they didn't repeal the whole act.
No, they
just-
repealed the concerns of tier 3
Right.
and
The
the
road
road.
rule.
the road rule.
Yep. So I think that's why nobody from the public is here tonight to push, so. Think
So
we're
it
good.
took care of itself without a letter of support.
Good.
Okay, we're gonna have Michelle's annual employee review, so I would need a motion to go into executive session. And invite Michelle to be a part of that. In a second, okay,
All right. We have a motion second.
all in favor? Aye,
Aye.
opposed,